It is said, with determination and self-confidence, many impossible things can be achieved. But have you ever heard of someone single-handedly leveling an entire mountain? If not, so don't worry, because that's what our story is about today. This man loved his wife immensely. To prove his love, he accomplished the impossible task of carving a road through a mountain all by himself. And this isn't just a story or a fictional story. It's a real event from the state of Bihar in India, a real-life story of a man named Dashrath Manjhi. So, without further ado, let's dive straight into the real-life story of Dashrath Manjhi. The year was 1960. Our story begins in a remote village in the state of Bihar, in India. This village lacked essential amenities such as schools, hospitals, and other necessities. There is a massive mountain stood near the village. To go anywhere, the villagers had to climb over this mountain, a task that was extremely difficult for everyone. A journalist, who was coming to the village with the local minister, and he was describing the village's situation. The journalist explained that the mountain made life very hard for the villagers. To travel anywhere, they either had to cross the mountain or take a 50-kilometer detour. The village chief was then introduced, a man notorious for oppressing the poor villagers. He was seen punishing a villager for the crime of wearing shoes, because those from the lower castes were not allowed to wear or even touch shoes. This highlights the severe caste discrimination prevalent in the village at that time. Then, another villager is shown, who was heading towards the mountain with a hammer in hand. This man starts breaking the mountain with just his hammer. He is Dashrath Manjhi. Seeing Dashrath attempting to break the mountain, the villagers start making fun of him. As Dashrath continues to break the mountain, then the scene shifts to his childhood. Dashrath was born into a very poor family of cobblers who made a living by repairing shoes. He was married at a very young age. During that time, Dashrath's father borrowed some money from the village chief, but he was never able to repay it. Consequently, Dashrath was given to the village chief by his father as collateral. However, the village chief was a very oppressive man. Unable to endure the harsh treatment, Dashrath eventually escaped and fled to the city. After this incident, 7 years pass. After this period, Dashrath returns to his village. On his way back, he sees a girl and falls in love at first sight. During this time, Dashrath learns that the government has granted equal rights to everyone, regardless of gender or wealth. However, upon returning to the village, Dashrath sees no change, everything remains as it was before. When Dashrath arrives in the village, he meets with the village chief. When Dashrath touched the village chief, the chief became very angry. Because Dashrath was from a lower caste, the village chief felt insulted and beat him severely. Bearing this pain, Dashrath returns home, and he comes to know that his mother has passed away. This news causes him even greater sorrow. However, a few days later, Dashrath's father went to bring back Dashrath's childhood wife. Her name was Fagunia. But since Dashrath was unemployed in the village, Fagunia's father was reluctant to marry her daughter off to him and insults both Dashrath and his father. Due to this humiliation, Dashrath decided not to marry his childhood wife again. Just then, he sees that the girl he had seen on his way back to the village, the one he had fallen in love with at first sight, was none other than Fagunia, his childhood wife. So he became determined to marry her. However, Fagunia's father adamantly refuses to marry his daughter to Dashrath under any circumstances. Afterward, one day, Dashrath secretly takes Fagunia to a fair in a neighboring village. At the fair, Dashrath buys Fagunia a pair of anklets. Even though he didn't have much money, still, he fulfills Fagunia's wish to wander around the fair. The two of them enjoy themselves greatly at the fair. The next day, Dashrath presents Fagunia with a small toy of the Taj Mahal as a gift. He says to her that a king had built it for his queen. Fagunia jokingly asks, "Did the king build such a small house for his queen?" Dashrath replies, "Hey, silly girl, this is just a toy, the real one is much larger. I will take you there someday." Upon hearing this, Fagunia becomes very happy. Then Fagunia tells Dashrath, "If you want to marry me, you will have to talk to my father. Otherwise, I must elope with you. There is no other way for us." After a few days, Dashrath learns from his friend that indeed Fagunia is getting married to someone else. Dashrath then goes to Fagunia's house. He wants to know if she can still elope with him now. Upon hearing this, Fagunia agrees to elope with Dashrath. They flee from there and start a new life a little away from their village. Then the story returns to present day again. Dashrath has been breaking rocks for the past 5 years. His father tries hard to make him understand that he cannot break the mountain alone. It's not possible for anyone. His entire life will end up in vain, yet he won't be able to achieve his goal. Why is Dashrath enduring this hardship alone on this mountain when the government isn't even concerned about it? But who knows why Dashrath had an obsession behind cutting this mountain? He had intense anger towards this mountain. We'll soon come to know the cause of this anger. The story flashes back once again. Dashrath is leading a beautiful life with his wife. Dashrath works on the land, and Fagunia sells clay dolls to run their household. One day, the village chief's son's lustful gaze fell upon Fagunia during the spring festival. He began to annoy her. This caused Dashrath to lose control of his anger and start beating the village chief's son. However, this made Fagunia even angrier with Dashrath, because by protesting against the village chief, they will not be able to succeed in any way. Besides, everyone looked at Fagunia with a bad eye. Then one day, Fagunia told Dashrath that she was going to be a mother and let Dashrath not involve himself in any more trouble. Upon hearing the good news, Dashrath became very happy. On the flip side, the son of the chief of the village has come with his people to kill Dashrath, but they can't find Dashrath and Fagunia there. Because they feared their own danger, they had already left there. However, Dashrath's friend protested against the village chief's son, so they beat him and forcibly took his wife with them. The following day, everyone finds the dead body of that woman lying on the edge of the pond. In this way, day by day the torture of the village head and his son was increasing. Once again, the story returns in the present time. Dashrath is still breaking the mountains. After several years, the same journalist returns to the village. He learns about Dashrath from everyone in the village and comes to meet him. The journalist wants to know why Dashrath started breaking this mountain. Why is he so interested in such an impossible task? At that moment, without answering any of the journalist's questions, Dashrath simply says, "As long as I don't break this mountain down, I won't find peace." The story flashes back once again. Now we will find out why Dashrath has such intense anger towards this mountain. One day, Fagunia went to fetch water from the pond and fell into it. It was then that her intense labor pains began. However, with the help of other women from the village, she was able to successfully give birth right there in the pond. In this way, several more years pass, and Fagunia becomes pregnant once again. One afternoon, she was climbing up the mountain to reach Dashrath with his meal. Suddenly, she slipped and fell from the top of the mountain. The fall caused her severe bleeding. As soon as Dashrath heard the news, he ran to Fagunia. With the help of another villager, he carried Fagunia down the mountain in a makeshift stretcher and took her to the hospital. However, the doctor informed him that they couldn't save Fagunia, they have only managed to save the child. Since that day, Dashrath harbored intense anger towards this mountain. He vowed to break this mountain down. He will not stop until he crushes this mountain. It was because of this mountain that he lost his wife. It was because of this mountain that he couldn't take his wife to the hospital on time. And it was because of this mountain that he lost her forever. Dashrath vowed that he would somehow merge this mountain with the ground. Once again, the story returns in present time. Dashrath is so immersed in cutting the mountain that he neglects his own children. Concerned, his father comes to him and tells him to be responsible towards his own children. He suggests that Dashrath should marry again for his own sake and for the sake of his children. He tells his father that he cannot even imagine a second marriage for himself. He will never be able to give Fagunia's place to anyone else. He still loves Fagunia deeply. Dashrath's father tells him, "Then you take responsibility for your children. I won't be able to take care of your children." Dashrath replies, "Okay, I will take care of my children myself." After this, Dashrath starts earning money for the nourishment of his own children. One day, he tells a person from the village that he will carry his belongings to the other side of the mountain. In exchange, Dashrath will take money from him. The person agrees to Dashrath's proposal, because then he doesn't have to travel a 50 kilometers long road to reach the city. Within a day, Dashrath carries all the belongings of the man across the mountain by foot. This way, more days pass by, and then, the summer season comes. Since it hadn't rained for many days, the villagers faced a drought. Due to this drought, the people of the village couldn't stay there and started moving to the city. Dashrath's father also tells Dashrath to go with them. However, Dashrath refuses to go anywhere else, saying that he wouldn't go anywhere by leaving the mountain. Dashrath's father asks, "What will happen by breaking this mountain?" To which Dashrath replies, "After breaking through this mountain, I will make a road." Dashrath gives some money to his father and tells him to take care of his children. Then he starts working again. Dashrath continues to work, but at one point, due to intense heat, he becomes extremely thirsty. But there is no water in his container. Searching for water, Dashrath comes across a well, but even inside the well, he finds no water. Desperate, he starts eating the grass and foliage growing inside the well. It's then that memories of his moments spent with his wife start appearing before his eyes. Each beautiful moment spent with her starts appearing vividly in front of his eyes. Many years pass by like this. Dashrath is still cutting through the mountain. Suddenly, while breaking the mountain, a venomous snake bites his toe. Due to the venomous snake's bite, he begins to experience blur vision by his eyes. In order to save himself, he cuts off his own toe where the snake had bitten. This causes a lot of bleeding. Due to the bleeding, he becomes unconscious. It's then in a dream that he starts seeing his wife again. After some time, the monsoon rains begin. It seems like the creator has sent these rains to help Dashrath. In a few months later, due to the rain, the village turns green again just like before, and the villagers start returning to the village. However, many years have passed like this. Dashrath's father also returns to the village and sees that Dashrath has almost cleared the mountain and made a road. Dashrath's father begins to feel affectionate towards his son. Dashrath is very happy to see his father and children again. But on the flip side, the village chief is still the same as before, continuing his tyranny towards the villagers without any reduction. At that time, the villagers form a separate organization, and Dashrath's friend leads this organization. In one night, all the members of the group gathered, raided the village chief's house, and apprehended him. They unanimously decided to hang the village chief for his atrocities. But at that moment, Dashrath tells his friend that this is also injustice. They cannot kill the village chief like this, it would be a violation of the law and everyone would become lawbreakers. However, Dashrath's friend does not agree with him, and he got angry and hits Dashrath with a gun. Meanwhile, the son of the village chief arrives there with the police. By that time, the villagers have already hanged the village chief. This leads to a clash between the police and members of the organization. In the chaos, Dashrath's father is shot and killed. Witnessing all of this unfolding before his eyes, Dashrath is shattered. The next day, that journalist comes to him to know about the previous night's events. However, Dashrath, in rage, starts abusing the journalist. The journalist then hands over a newspaper to him. Upon seeing it, he becomes very happy because the journalist has managed to publish his own newspaper now. Upon seeing Dashrath's happiness, the journalist takes a photo of him. A few days later, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi visited their village for an inspection. There, she delivered a speech about her election. Dashrath was also present there. At the end of the Prime Minister's speech, he somehow managed to meet the Prime Minister. A journalist informed the Prime Minister that Dashrath had been making a road alone on the mountain by breaking the hill for the past 12 years. Dashrath then appealed to the Prime Minister to help him in completing the road construction on the mountain. The following morning, the village chief's son brought a newspaper to Dashrath. In the newspaper, he saw a photograph of himself with the Prime Minister. The village chief's son informed him that if he wished, the government would provide funds for him to continue constructing roads on the mountain. After this, the village chief's son took Dashrath to his office. There, an officer informed him that the government would indeed assist him in completing the road construction on the mountain and provide a substantial amount of money. Based on this assurance, they take Dashrath's thumb signature on a document. A few days after this incident, Dashrath suddenly saw some people loading stones onto a truck. However, he couldn't understand any of it. The next day, he went to an office with that journalist. Here he came to ask for the sanctioned money to build the road. However, the officer said that Dashrath had already taken the money. Dashrath told the officer that he had not received any money. However, when the officer showed him the signed document, Dashrath understood that the village chief's son had deceived him. He immediately meets him and demanded the return of his owed money. The village chief's son then jokingly says, "Does the government have no other work than giving you money to build road?" Then Dashrath informs them that he will put an end to this. If he has to meet with the Prime Minister to resolve it, then that's exactly what he will do. The next day, Dashrath boarded a train to Delhi to meet with the Prime Minister. However, he did not have a ticket for the journey, so the ticket collector dropped him off the train midway. Unable to find any other means, Dashrath decided to walk the remaining distance to Delhi, which was about 1,300 kilometers away. But for Dashrath, this distance meant nothing in the face of his determination. After making a strenuous effort, Dashrath finally reached Delhi on foot. When he attempted to meet with the Prime Minister, security guards stopped him from entering. Dashrath then showed the security guard the picture of him with the Prime Minister. After seeing the picture, the security guard told him, "Pictures like this of the Prime Minister are often taken with many people. This doesn't mean that they can meet the minister whenever they want." Despite trying hard, Dashrath couldn't meet the Prime Minister. Failing to find any other way, he returned to his village. One night, Dashrath again sees his wife in his dream. His wife wants to know from him why he suddenly stopped making the road. Dashrath explains that it's impossible to break mountains for him to build a road. Everyone in the village thinks he's crazy, and he no longer has the same courage in his heart as before. Fagunia tells him, "You have to build this road. You promised me. This will be your grand Taj Mahal for me." Immediately, Dashrath wakes up from his sleep. He sets out again to break the hill. But this time, he is not alone. Many villagers have started helping him to breaking the hill. Overwhelmed with joy and emotion, Dashrath begins to cry tears of happiness. One day, several government officers visit there and ask him why they are cutting down the mountains. They claim it's government property and accuse Dashrath of stealing stones by cutting the mountains, and they take him to the local police station. Sitting inside the jail, Dashrath pondered that perhaps this time he has lost. Maybe there was some deficiency in his love. However, the next day, all the villagers come to the police station and claim Dashrath's bail. The police officer, upon seeing that everyone from the village is protesting outside the police station for Dashrath's bail, he becomes afraid and decides to release Dashrath. Dashrath is overwhelmed by the villagers' affection for him. Dashrath rekindles his motivation and resumes his work with them. In this way, after cutting the hill for almost 22 years, Dashrath become capable of making a road. Dashrath's story of carving a road through the mountain surpasses even the tale of Shah Jahan's Taj Mahal. Shah Jahan built the Taj Mahal with laborers, but Dashrath did everything with his own hands. What are your thoughts on this story? And friends, how do you feel about the story based on Dashrath Manjhi's real life? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Stay well, stay healthy. Goodbye for today.